Many people think they've blown their chance to build a really good retirement pot if they don't start investing as soon as they leave school. And while it's true that it's certainly an advantage to start young, it isn't too late if you're now in your 40s or sometimes even beyond that. So, in the immortal words of Corporal Jones,
"Don't panic, Mr. Menrin! Don't panic!"
So, what we're going to cover in today's video are the following things. How to make money available to invest in your 40s if it isn't already. Where to invest it for the best results. How much capital will you be able to build up? And what can you hope to generate in the way of income in the future? As always, I've put timestamps in the description below if you want to skip forward to sections more relevant to you or easily go back and review something I've said. Now, whether you're over 40 now and you've got absolutely nothing saved, or you've got some money put aside but you're not sure it's being invested in the right way, whether you're on a low income and you find it hard to save, or whether you're on a high income and you do have some capacity to invest, this video will be able to help you. If we haven't met before, I'm Bourne. I'm a UK-based financial planner specialising in helping people achieve financial independence in retirement tax efficiently. Subscribe below if that floats your boat, and without further ado, this is the definitive UK guide to investing for retirement starting after 40. There are some pretty scary statistics around about how little some people have got put aside, with research earlier this year suggesting that around a fifth of adults in the UK have less than £100 in savings. The good news is, though, that it isn't always down to low income, with previous research revealing that roughly a quarter of households with incomes below £13,500 have over £1,000 in savings, and 40% of people in that bracket manage to save monthly. Now, this suggests that the power is in your hands, and often it's lifestyle choices that prevent people from investing rather than low income. And all of this reinforces the first tip, which is, regardless of your income, budgeting is essential. It might sound boring, but boring in this instance is good because it's likely to help you have more fun in the future. The great news is that you're not on your own these days. There are some fantastic apps to really help you identify all sorts of savings that can be made from your regular outgoings. Now, these tools are helpful to everybody, but I'd argue that they're even more helpful to people with higher incomes than those with lower incomes, because higher earners tend to waste money more easily. They collect all sorts of unnecessary direct debits and forget to check whether they're overpaying for things. One app that I really like is Snoop. Their aim is to save the average household at least £1,500 a year by analysing all of your costs and then identifying how to save you money. It checks costs like mobile bills, broadband, insurances, mortgages and other things to get you a better deal and helps you switch. It even finds vouchers for you and alerts you to sales at places you regularly shop at. And it's completely free to use. They make their money through commissions from service providers that they introduce you to, which is fair enough if they save you money. I've put a link to that free app in the description below, and they're well worth checking out. When you've identified some savings, the most important thing to do is ensure that you don't then waste them. And the way to do that is by creating a budget. By the way, guys, just a reminder that, like I said at the start, if you're slightly more financially advanced and comfortable, this next couple of minutes on budgeting may not be that relevant to you, so feel free to skip ahead with the timestamps if so. So, create a budget that simply lists your income in one column and all of your regular outgoings plus projected expenditure for the month in another column. Obviously, you want to make sure that there's money left over from what is coming in. But not just that, you really want there to be at least 10% of your income left over. More if possible, but at least that much. If there's not that much left, or only just that, even after analysing all of your expenses for savings that can be made, then you need to try and make some extra money. Now, this isn't a video about how to get a pay rise or side hustle income. There are plenty of videos out there on that. But there are ways that you can generate extra money without any real effort, just by being smart. I'm talking, of course, about cashback rewards from using certain bank accounts, from reward schemes like Nectar, from cashback credit cards, as long as you use the card responsibly and pay it off in full every month. I, for example, get 1.25% cash back on everything I spend on my American Express Platinum Cashback card, and I just pay my transactions off instantly on my banking app. That's free money. The important thing is, though, not just letting that money be absorbed into your expenses, but investing it on micro-investing apps like Moneybox. I often tell my wife to do the same with things like the Boots points that she earns. When you get a discount, instead of spending what you've saved, invest it. I can only assume by the number of boxes that arrive from Boohoo and H&M every week that she's not listening to me, but happy wife, happy life. There are loads of services and apps set up to help you generate extra income, and I'll list some in the comments section below. I'll put it as the top pinned comment, so feel free to add others that you're aware of by replying to that comment in order to help other people. You have to automate the process of investing though, or else it just won't get done. Set up a direct debit to invest what you've identified you can afford monthly on the day that you get paid. Pay yourself first. Treat that like any bill, as though it doesn't even form part of your income. You live on the remainder. So it's possible for almost anyone to make extra money available for investing by budgeting properly, being smart and automating the process. Moving on from budgeting, it's very important to be tax efficient. The less tax you pay, the more money you keep. And there are certain types of investment accounts in the UK that will help with this, namely individual savings accounts, known as ISAs, and pensions. There's loads of information on this channel on how to be tax efficient, from the very simple right through to the more advanced, all of which is in my tax planning playlist, linked in the description below for you to carry on watching after this video. I'll link it on the end screen too. In simple terms, opening an ISA account will ensure that any investments you then make inside that account will be sheltered from tax on any income and gains made. You can pay in up to £20,000 per tax year to that as well, or £1,666 a month, which covers most people's needs. When you want to take money out of your ISA, it will be completely tax-free to do so. And another thing that's tax-free, by the way, is the like button. So if you wouldn't mind just tapping that, it really does help this video reach more people. A pension also shelters you from tax while the money is invested. On top of that though, you receive what's called tax relief on the money that you pay in. It's essentially free money added on top of your contribution by HMRC. So you get £25 added for every £100 you pay in. And if you pay income tax at the higher rates, you can claim back even more. You're able to take 25% of the pension's value out completely tax-free in the future, but the remainder will be subject to income tax when you withdraw it. However, some or possibly even all of that taxable part could be within your personal allowance for income. That's the amount of money that you can earn every year without any tax being taken from it. Setting up the accounts is one thing. You've then got to decide how to invest your money. If you already have some knowledge and experience of investing, you may know what to do. But if you haven't, don't worry. Investing is actually quite simple when you know the basics and doesn't have to require any involvement from you. It can be completely passive and automated. In fact, sometimes the more passive it is and the less we actually think about it, the better. Now, I'm not going to go into really deep detail here because I've dedicated other entire videos to this subject. I did one fairly recently which was called Learn 80% of Investing in 10 Minutes. So that would be a good place to start if you felt you needed to. But I've put that and others in a special playlist called Learn the Basics of Investing, which you'll find in the description below if you feel you need to build that base knowledge. Essentially though, once you're comfortable with the concept of risk and reward, a sensible approach, if investing for the long term, is to hold the largest percentage of your portfolio in stocks, otherwise referred to as equities. You'd spread those across the countries of the world in proportion to how much of the world's stock market value the companies in those countries make up. Now, you can achieve that by buying index funds or ETFs, exchange traded funds. They're products where your money and other investors' money is pooled together and managed by a company on your behalf for a small percentage fee. So you don't have to invest into all of the companies of the world individually. You can buy an index fund or an ETF, that will give you exposure to all of them. Funds with words like global equity or all world in their name will be the types of funds you're looking for. The other main asset class aside from stocks is bonds, otherwise referred to as fixed income. These are seen as lower risk with less volatility. Similarly, there are index funds and ETFs for bonds as well. You can invest into these types of funds through your ISA or your pension and choose how much you invest into stock-focused funds and how much into bond-focused funds. Or there are certain funds, such as Vanguard's Life Strategy range, that will blend them together for you and rebalance them constantly. Remember though, over the long term, stocks provide the highest potential for returns, so keep that in mind. In terms of how and where to start, I'll put some useful links and info for you in the description below under the title Where to Start Investing. So how much can you expect to build up if you start in your 40s? Well, let's say you're 40 now and you haven't saved anything towards your retirement yet, but you can save £200 a month. For the purpose of this exercise, we'll assume you can get a 7% annual average return from your investments, which has been about the long-term average rate of return from the stock market, allowing for inflation. It's by no means a guaranteed amount and it could be less, but we might as well use the average that has been experienced. So starting from 40, if you invest in over 28 years, which will take you up to your likely state pension age of 68, your £200 could be immediately increased to £250 a month if you paid it into a pension. Let's also assume that you increase that regular amount by 2% a year to account for inflation. What does that look like? Well, you can see here that that would grow to £315,000 based on those assumptions, just from starting out investing £200 a month. Now we'll assume at that time that you qualify for a full state pension, which is £9,339 a year at this current point. We'll also assume that you withdraw 5% or £15,750 off the pension's value every year through a flexible withdrawal method like Flexi Access Drawdown. That's where your capital remains invested in your pension and you draw money out of it almost like you would from a bank account, but with more potential for your money to grow in order to replenish what you're taking out. It's important to say that flexible withdrawal methods are not guaranteed pensions. If you continuously take out more than the pension's growing by, it's likely that you'll run out of money during your lifetime. If you did take that $15,750 a year though, that would mean that you'd be receiving just over £25,000 a year as a pension income. I don't think that's bad, starting from scratch at 40 with £200 a month. That's about £6.50 a day. Before anyone says it as well, that £9,339 a year from the state pension will have increased substantially by then. And remember, I said that the projected growth on the investments was the inflation adjusted stock market average. That means that the return was really higher than that. If that continues to be the case, the actual value of the pot will be higher and the withdrawal from it will be higher too. But the spending power will be the same. So we're talking about £25,000 spending power in today's terms. What if you didn't want to go until you're 68 though? What else is possible? Well, if we return to the results chart here, we can see that after 20 years, the estimated value is around £151,000. So it actually more than doubles in the last 8 years. That's the power of compound interest for you. Growth on your growth. It has the biggest effect at the end. But let's say you get to 63, you've built up £200,000 and you think, I've had enough of working full time. I only want to do 2 days a week, but I need an extra £15,000 a year until my state pension starts. Well, that can be done. You may just need to move some of the investments within the pension into cash or other lower risk holdings in order to reduce the volatility. But if we assumed that you did get the same return on your investments, taking £15,000 a year out, the estimated value is £193,500 at the end of year 5. So that's going from age 63 to age 68. Your £9,339 then starts being paid from the state pension. So instead of taking £15,000 a year, you drop it to 5% of the plan's value again, which is £9,600. £675. So that would be a total of just over £19,000 a year. A useful retirement income, having started with £200 a month at age 40. Finally, let's look at a situation where you've got more available to invest on a monthly basis. Perhaps your earnings are really hitting their peak now. Maybe the mortgage has just been paid off, the kids have left home, and you've finally got more cash available. What does £1,000 a month look like? Well, if paid into a pension, that £1,000 would become £1,250, with the potential to claim back more, don't forget, if you pay tax at the higher or additional rates. If we use the same calculation basis as before, starting at 40, we can see that the projected value of the pot would be £1.575 million at the age of 68. Now, if you can't achieve a good retirement lifestyle on that, then there's a problem. In this situation, you may well think at age 57, you've had enough. And 57 is the age at which you'll be able to access money in your pension if you're 40 now. At that time, you're projected to have built £555,000. So taking 5% of that would be £27,750, which may well be enough to do all the things you want to do. It's worth mentioning as well, of course, that you could split the contributions 50-50 with a spouse, assuming they earn sufficient income to make pension contributions. And that would then mean you've each got over £275,000 in a pension pot, and you've got 2 lots of personal income allowances instead of just one, meaning you save a lot of tax. That assumes you can both access pensions at the same time though. You'd have to be of similar ages. It's important to say, of course, guys, that none of the figures mentioned are guaranteed. The actual growth could be more or it could be less than what was projected. One thing is guaranteed though, and that is that you'll end up with a wealthier retirement by investing over the long term than you will if you don't. Even if you're 40 now, even if you're 50 now, start investing for your future and you won't regret that.